So I decided to get AT&T 1 gig fiber internet. I've had Spectrum for feels almost like 12 months. I thought it's time to make a switch, and especially making a switch to fiber internet, which is an amazing connection, supposedly, of 1 gig. Sounds like a pretty sweet deal to me. The next thing I just want to try to do is see a few tests and see how they go. So let's go. What speeds I'm getting, and on the left side it's going to be consistent throughout the video. On the left side it's going to be AT&T internet, and on the right side it's going to be Spectrum internet. Now the speeds show, the download speed shows to be pretty good, and the next thing, the upload speed shows amazing as well, which is amazing. But this is the first install, and then it's 2 days after I've had it, so I might do an update later on after a month of having AT&T, but it's pretty consistent right now. The ping is good compared to the 19 on Spectrum. The download is good as well, and the upload is kind of dipped down there, but it's pretty much just blowing out Spectrum right now.
I use testmy.net. I don't use any of those like flash speed things.
But then I took a look at that.
Testmy.net like actually uploads actual megabit files.
Testmy.net is a pretty amazing website that you can get to where it shows your megabytes, and whenever you upload and download, it's true and precise as it can, because it uses actual files instead of using flash processes to go through its calculations. And right now you can see AT&T has pretty much gotten a good rating in terms of upload. For the upload on Spectrum, it's gone to the highest I've seen, 22, 25 at least. And now we're just testing out the download. And the download, it's not as bad as well. It's pretty staying on par with 700 consistently, which is pretty amazing. When you're trying to download other files, when you're trying to upload, when basically the internet's good. But the only thing I wanted this is to game. You know, gamers want to have the good internet, they want to have this and that for gaming, and I also wanted that as well, which I thought would help with Warzone here that I'm playing it right now. But I'm testing it out, and throughout all these calculations and everything I've gotten, my results, my speeds, it's good. AT&T is good, fiber internet is good. The only issue I'm having is trying to connect with Warzone. For some reason, Warzone is just a bad game. Bad game to trying to connect to it. The servers, you gotta really get lucky on which server you're trying to connect to or get connected to, because it could just, interrupt your connection. The lowest I've seen for AT&T latency is 11 to 15. That's the lowest I've seen in one game, and that's hardly enough. The speed I got when I first tried it out, when it was first set up and the technician left the door, I tried running Warzone on with AT&T, and it gave me 11 to 15, which was pretty amazing. I was like, okay, that's cool. But then I tried other games and other games after that, and it slowly started going back up. It went to 23, but I think this 23 one is the one connected with Spectrum. Spectrum has, I tried also playing Spectrum with Warzone, and it was staying at a 27. The lowest I've seen it go was 19 latency ping. And the highest I think I've seen it go is at least 38 or 40 ping, 4 spectrum, which is okay, not that bad. I would rather see AT&T connected consistently with 19 or 11 ping, but it's just not how it works. It's not, how you get connected to servers like, and it's also, I'm thinking, pretty much related to how in my area they have AT&T everywhere. So everybody in my area has AT&T. When you look up Wi-Fi's, it's AT&T. Default names, which I could be thinking is result for why these connections are, not as good. These connections, they do sometimes, since everybody has AT&T and AT&T is trying to provide internet to all the users in one certain area, kind of gets, I guess, bottled up or something like that. It's very interesting because in the morning time, I feel that it's when nobody's on, especially playing video games or anything like that, and I get low ping. Not as low as I would like, but it's pretty low compared to what I've been playing with on AT&T. So one thing I can say is if you're trying to use it for gaming, especially for the warzone, you might get unlucky trying to connect to it with low ping. If you just happen to get lucky, then you get lucky. But if maybe one of my settings is wrong, I've only been using the default settings on what my providers have. The only thing I've tried doing is changing the Wi-Fi password. That's the only thing I've tried doing. I also did try port forwarding, but that didn't do a single thing for me. The issue was, not issue, but the one thing I could tell is before I got Spectrum, Warzone was set to moderate net type, which is, I guess, kind of like strict or not as good as having open net type. So that's one thing I noticed whenever I did get connected from AT&T, that Spectrum was always a moderate for some reason, and I just for 2 weeks straight, and I was wondering, well, that's weird, and I've reset it and I've unplugged it, and then I didn't know about port forwarding until I got AT&T installed and I looked into it. So I installed AT&T and I did port forwarding with AT&T settings, router settings, and that still didn't help. But it was interesting after I did do that. Spectrum, my default internet, net type whenever connecting to Warzone was set to open. So it's Spectrum is just the bottom line. Good internet, especially if you're getting fiber 1 gig. That is pretty amazing connection whenever you're getting any upload or download speeds, and they stay consistent. So I'm also tested out in 1 month, see what I get with those speeds, to see if they change at all. If they do change, then I'll have to call up AT&T and say what's going on, and then if it doesn't, then it should be good. And that's just great internet for the price I'm paying. It's almost double for Spectrum, what Spectrum's charging, and for having just not comparable at all speeds. So yeah, that's one thing I can say about that. For any people that are looking or interested in it, just do your research. If maybe other people are having connection errors with AT&T, then try looking for something else, because it could be on your area. Granted, people that get fiber internet might not have the same speeds as I get, just due to your area of how their connection works with your provider, your ISP provider. So just do your research real quick. I definitely did it, but I'm still glad that I did get the internet, so it should be good. yeah, if you enjoyed the video, drop a like, anything like that. Subscribe if you want.